Many high performers feel misaligned, drained, stressed, or even restless, even when things are going really great on paper. But they don't need magic to figure out what's going on before it turns into burnout or really bad decisions. You just need a couple minutes to yourself and to ask yourself some really good questions that I'm going to give you. One of the biggest misconceptions in coaching or therapy or consulting or any type of external help is the fact that things need to be going really bad in order for you to go seek it out. And that's just not true. We see this all the time in professional sports because some of the greatest athletes out there have multiple coaches for multiple different things. Why? Because we all have blind spots. We're human. In fact, the majority of people, I would probably say about 60 to 70% of them that are reaching out aren't doing it with the mindset of, man, I just need my life fixed. They're doing it from the place of, man, things are going really well, but I know I could be doing better. And that's the thing that drives them to find somebody to help them reach a new level of potential. So, anytime that I'm working with high performers, regardless of their field or industry, there's usually about three very common issues that I find that we end up dealing with. So, let's talk about three of the most common issues I find whenever I'm working with high performers that are preventing them from winning both at life and at work. The first issue is that success is often masking burnout. See, we aren't scaling our activity or ourselves. We just take on more. Now, there can be a lot of different reasons for this. Sometimes you might be reaching a new level, and maybe there's new people that are involved in your business or in your process, and you just haven't learned how to properly delegate before. Or maybe you don't trust the people around you enough. And then the problem is the fact that you haven't actually trained them well enough. So, therefore, you have a good reason not to trust them, but it's actually on you. There can be a lot of different reasons for this, but at the end of the day, it all just comes down to one thing. We are taking on too much. And when we take on more things and we aren't taking things off of our plate, we are just creating a never ending to do list that we can never complete, that will suck all of our energy away from us and ultimately lead us to a place that we don't want to be. The second biggest thing is that you are uncertain with what you want. The goals that you had or didn't have are no longer providing you with the life satisfaction that you thought they would. It is incredible to me how many times I'll sit down with somebody and I'll just ask this very simple but dangerous question of, what do you want? And I have had people break down and cry in front of me because they've realized they don't know anymore. Maybe they haven't known for a really long time, and there can be a lot of different reasons for that. And when we really dive into that, the reason it can be dangerous is because deep down, many of us know the things that we're chasing now aren't the things that we want to be chasing. And that means that we're going to have to make difficult decisions and change in our life. The third one can be really frustrating and cause a lot of problems if we let it linger. And that's the fact that your inner compass is just being totally drowned out by the demands of life. Your values and your goals are being overridden by the modern villain of our time, which is just noise. So I want to tell you a quick story. This woman came to work with me, and she had just had a record year in her business. They had grown by 312% year over year. It was incredible. But then on day one of the new year, when she was coming back, she sat in her car and she cried. She was even late to her first meeting. She was so overwhelmed and couldn't get it together. And she didn't even know exactly what was wrong. She just knew something was wrong. And I just want to read a little bit of a testimonial that she gave when we were working together, because I thought this was so beautiful and it really encompasses actually all three of the things that we just talked about. So she said she was overwhelmed by how much she was giving up personally in order to win in her professional life. Her body and her soul were telling her it wasn't sustainable or even that good, but society had been praising her for her productivity. Oof. She said that hit me. She didn't know exactly what she wanted, but she didn't want to stop and find out. And these are her exact words. I made sure to capture this, and she told me I could share this. She said, I was afraid that if I was to confront myself about the direction of my life, I'd view all of my success as failures, and lying to myself just seemed like the better option for a while until I couldn't keep the emotions down anymore. Oh man, when we had that conversation, it impacted me in so many different ways because I have had the exact same emotions. I have gone through that mental battle, in many ways, a spiritual battle. And it was just an amazing thing to be able to work with her and to help her to realize that just because she was feeling these things and we were going to make shifts in the way that she worked and in her personal life, it didn't mean that everything she had done was bad or that it was immediately going to be marked down as a failure. And that's one of the things that's super important. So now I want to get into 3 questions that you can ask yourself to give yourself a quick diagnosis if you're having any of these thoughts or feelings. So here's the first of the 3 questions that you can ask. Where am I exceeding externally, but I'm feeling disconnected internally? Really take a second to think about that. Where am I succeeding externally, but I'm feeling disconnected internally? So I love asking this next question because people rarely ever have to think about this one. Normally, they just automatically know. They're like, oh, yes, it's this. And that is, which responsibility would you quietly or very loudly celebrate letting go of if you gave yourself permission to? The third one's really important because the calendar is something that is very sacred to me because I am very careful about how I am investing my time. And if time is money, then my calendar is the wallet that I hold it in. So ask this: what on your calendar feels heavy every single time you see it, even if it's important on paper? Look, you don't have to go to a mountaintop or find a retreat to figure these things out. Can you just take 5 to 10 minutes to remove all screens, all distractions, all noise away from you and just sit down, be with yourself, and just sit with these questions? Get a piece of paper and a pen if you want, and just write out your honest answer. Something really powerful happens when you can see what you are truly thinking and feeling. When people are struggling with, these are some of the first moves that we make whenever we're working together. And let me tell you something, it is powerful what asking these dangerous questions can do and the clarity that it can bring to your life, and then what that will enable you to do when you have your answers.